Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? I am sitting here waiting for Jozef to jump on and all that good stuff. So, whoever decides to jump on here, feel free to chat. Um, I don't know about you, but the last week has been kind of crazy for me for multiple reasons. One of them was the eclipse was a very interesting experience. For me, what I did during the eclipse was I decided to meditate during the whole thing, and I was watching a live stream, so I was projecting my consciousness. Hey, how's it going from Europe? And I know it's really late for you guys over there. um, so how was your guys' your whoever's on the chat right now? Who like how was your guys' eclipse last week? It was pretty good for me. Like, hey, how's it going? I, I've like I don't know if you guys had like a crazy experience during the eclipse, but what I did was, um, how's it going, Daniel? Um, wow, all slow to know people. So I was projecting myself to different places during the eclipse at multiple points. So I was watching the eclipse quite a long ways along it from in different locations. And then at one point I was just tired of doing that, so I projected myself into like outside the atmosphere, and I was actually watching, um, use my consciousness to watch the eclipse go in outer space. Yeah, no, meditation during like a big event like that is it's pretty cool because you get to see different things going on. So, but that was my actual clip experience. Normal hear about a tsunami in Japan. I did not hear about a tsunami in Japan, but yeah, no, that was kind of like my experience during the eclipse. Is I was I don't know if you guys had this experience because I've talked to a few other people that are similar to me for how I function, and what they said to me is prior to the actual, because I was experiencing this same sort of thing right when like a couple days leading up to the pandemic or up to the eclipse. Like I had all this emotion, all these things coming up, and as soon as the eclipse happened itself, wow, 1 a.m. That's really late for you guys. But as soon as the eclipse itself happened, it was it was like all this stuff that was just kind of coming to the surface. It was just kind of there to integrate. So yeah, man, it's all good. I really am trying to actually do these kind of streams. If I can help it, I'm gonna try to get Jozef down to where we can do these streams earlier in the day, so everyone's not up at like 1 a.m. just to come on and hang out with an hour. So, and Jozef, I'm already on. If you want to join us, I'm just waiting for him to finish getting set up, and then he'll jump on and we'll do the thing. So yeah, no, I had like in the last week I've had a really I learned how to do something that kind of like I had these feelings that were sitting right here. I learned how to change and modify those actual emotions here, like, and integrate them in the last week. That was something pretty cool that actually happened. So, do you guys know what the Schumann resonance is by chance? Because in the last week, that specific frequency. Let me see if I can find it. Uh, Schumann resonance. And I did it wrong. But if you actually get a chance to look at the Schumann resonance from like the last week, so prior to so it's this band. It just shows what the frequency of the Earth is, like what it's actually moving, what is actually showing up, and how it's showing up for everyone else. Yes, it's the Earth. It's the Earth's frequency. It's taken from multiple places around the Earth, and so prior to the eclipse actually happening, it was these skinny little bands. And then last year, it looked like DNA at one point, and like it was showing up as different things. So right when the eclipse happened, it went from being these little lines to these black lines that where nothing was happening, and then it expanded, and then it did another black line during the whole thing. Hey, Jozef, how's it going?
Hello.
Let's see if we can get both on the screen.
This
Hey,
is
there we are.
My real background right now.
It's a cool background. But no, if you guys actually go take a chance and go look at the Schumann resonance, it's really cool because it changed in the last week since the eclipse. Yes. He just jumped on, and it takes a minute for everything to just kind of go through. We're on kind of a delay, so you guys don't actually see everything as it's happening, unlike me and Jozef, who are live with each other. So, yeah, we take some personal questions for when people join us on these things. So, how you doing, Jozef?
Pretty good. How you doing, brother?
Just kind of talking about like the experience that I've had in the last week as far as like kind of integration after the eclipse, which I've had some really cool things. Yeah, I've had some really cool things happen. It was like, so someone showed me how to like alchemize some beliefs that I had and like some things I've been holding on to in my like solar plexus chakra. And it was gone, but that opened up the door to actually working through some other things that were actually sitting there, and I didn't realize. So yeah, man.
We had a quite intense eclipse here.
Yeah, like you were pretty close to the totality where you're at.
You got very cold and dark. We were at the park with a lot of other people. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
It was like another Burning Man.
So what I was saying to everyone else right before you jumped on is, for me during the actual totality, I kept projecting my consciousness to different places along the totality as it was in the totality of the eclipse. And then at one point I got kind of bored with doing that, so I went to outer space and was watching the eclipse from outside the atmosphere.
What was that like?
It was really cool because when you actually look at the moon when you're outside the atmosphere and watch the disk going over it, like it's way more intense. And then you can also look back actually at the Earth's atmosphere, so you see the shadow going across the atmosphere.
It's cool.
So, and if you're actually watching this, we're live right now. So, but yeah, no, usually we sit for a few minutes and talk before we actually jump on. So this is both of us just kind of getting into like the right headspace. There you go. But yeah, no, that was my experience. Like I was able to alchemize and just kind of transform and change some of the like things I kind of been holding on to. So.
Things definitely shifted and moved, and here's a good one.
Look up the Schumann resonance.
Yeah, there was it was all green or something.
No, it's not that it's just all green. No, it went like if you look at what it looked like in the last week, like look it up and bring it up on the screen. Like in the last week, it went from being like these couple little bands to just like there were these dark lines in the whole thing, and then there were then, but it's just been like covering the screen now, whereas before it was just kind of like, and then. Nice to see you too, Lola.
Yeah.
Lola. But yeah, that's kind of like that was kind of a cool thing, and but that shows like an upgrade that we've all gone through energetically because we're part of the planet. So yeah.
All right, back to Sedona. Church in Sedona on the hill.
Ooh, I've never been there before.
The rock, the one in the rock.
Bell Rock, or what's I don't know the name of that the large. I've never been to Sedona. I don't know what that.
Bell Rock, yeah. Bell Rock Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. If any of you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll discuss them, and he'll ask them throughout the thing. So, are you about ready?
Give me a second. What I'll do is I'll just pop our links here for a second.
Okay.
I like to do
And
that.
also,
Hold on. Live on call. There you go. Hey, there you go, buddy. I'll be right back.
I'm just waiting for Jozef to come back. He's talking to his daughter right now. So, but yeah, no. If you guys have any comments or any questions, said ghosts and shadow people. What are their purpose? I don't know. Because magically, when I'm not in channeling mode, I don't know most of this stuff that you guys are talking about. Like, I know some of it, and I can bring up some of it, but generally speaking, I don't actually have access to most of that information when I'm just like this. So I'm kind of just a normal person in that sense. Ghosts. So I want to say this about ghosts. Ghosts are cool. Ghosts are fantastic. Most people, when they're in spirit, like most spirits, when they're in that state, they don't actually stick around. Like some people have like unfinished business and they feel like they need to like work, like they need to work through things. But a lot of times those shadow beings that you see are actually not necessarily ghosts. They can be nature spirits, they can be ghosts themselves, they can be spirits, they can be any number of things. There are beings that exist on higher frequencies and higher levels, but most of ghosts themselves don't really stick around. So, all good, man?
All good. Here's ideas in the flow.
Yeah.
And
we're just posting some links. Like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to
put them. From the Healing Market, and Oran also from the Healing Market. Hi, Oran.
Oh. Hi, Jozef.
Here's the Healing Market.
Yeah. If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and when we're doing the actual channeling stuff, we'll answer them.
Instagram, and then we're good. Here's some Instagram. All right.
Like I said, we normally take care of this stuff before you guys jump on. So
somebody crashed today, and I literally felt a little at 7:30 on the dot. Well, 7:30. I guess I gotta go. Somebody woke me up. It literally felt like somebody was waking me up. It's like, you gotta go.
Also, one person's watching us over in Europe, or where exactly are you from? It's 1 a.m. for them while we're doing this. So anyway.
That's 7 hours. Yeah, that could be Israel, Greece, Lebanon. Anyway, there.
Yeah. You about ready, man?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
So number 23 is called Redefining Your Relationship to Yourself.
All right. Give me a sec. Good day to you all.
Good day.
Today, we would like to give you the idea and share this particular concept to you at this time in the aspect of yourself, in the situations that you come up against, and those places that you have been in your life where you have not quite been able to integrate or bring into your totality of who you are as a being. Those things that allow you to not quite move forward. Those aspects of yourself that hide in shadow, hide away from who and what you are on a much larger scale. These things are there to highlight those situations and those things that you have not quite integrated into yourself. As you have moved through your eclipse season for your planet at this time, you are undoubtedly experiencing en masse energetically around your world the idea of integration, especially on your North American continent, which was in the totality of the experience. In the time leading up to the idea of the eclipse itself, these kinds of concepts were coming to the surface with many of your people and giving you opportunities to decide if you would like to hold on to these old beliefs and old ways of thinking of life. So, therefore, at this time, we would ask you and your people to decide whether or not you would like to continue holding on to these particular beliefs that have been there for many years. Not that you have to hold on to them, not that anyone's saying you have to get rid of them, but give yourself a chance to upgrade yourself energetically to such a level that you no longer need these things in your life at this time.
Thank you. Do you suppose that on the path of the totality of the full eclipse, there'll be more effect of what you spoke, or is it true for everyone on the planet?
Many times, those places that you perceive as the totality, those places have experienced particular energy for quite many years. When an eclipse shows up energetically in your collective, it is a time of upgrade. You're given a time, a particular time space. One moment, we'll make an adjustment for the channel. You are being given a synchronistic time space where you are going through an upgrade, where you are being energetically adjusted to yourself and who you are and your relationship to yourself. In many aspects, this can be challenging for many people, but understanding that this is the prior energy that is moving on. Because if you look at many of the places that were closer to the idea of the totality of the particular astronomical event, they have had old belief systems that have been brought to the surface to be dealt with, or particular ways of doing things that can now be changed because they have gone through a loading screen, we'll say, as you would see in your world. When you are dealing with your technology, you deal with the idea of loading screens.
Thank you.
You're loading up a new program, a much more positive one. Ultimately,
Right. And when I experienced this eclipse, I was at the local park with lots of people, and it was quite communal and friendly.
yes,
You could really feel a lot of tense and stress and even fear, not necessarily within me or within other people, but you can feel negative energies come through and getting sucked out as the air got colder and darker. And there was
you
a
were going
moment
through the idea of an upgrade. You were going through the idea of a shift. You are seeing this on your planet at this time where you are shifting through larger aspects of yourself and your society. So therefore, you are being given many opportunities to decide what you would like to do. This is
Right.
why we said you are given a chance to decide what you would like to hold on to.
Understood. Thank you. Do you suppose that the eclipse, I don't want to say achieved its goal, but did make a difference to the positive?
Yes,
Yes.
you went through an upgrade,
Right.
as you have been going through for many years now, and going through the cycle of humanity that has existed for the last 40 years. Since you have come to the end of that particular cycle, you are starting to see upgrades because you are energetically, emotionally, spiritually upgrading your full beings. It may not be obvious on the surface because many things, and understand that there is a time space lag in physical reality that you do not experience through your physical experience of having instant manifestation, but you have gone through a actual energetic upgrade where you can be more conscious and more active in your ability to raise your vibration and frequency, and it kind of gives you a hand up in a way.
Yes. Thank you. How would one know if they received an upgrade, so to speak?
The most obvious inward sign, because that's where we would actually point you, is to look inwardly, is the idea of those beliefs, those time, place that you have held on to for many years. All of a sudden, they make no sense for
Mm.
who you are now. Your being, who you are, and who you are defining yourself to be, no longer needs to hold on to those previous ideas, those previous energies. Therefore, they are allowing themselves to upgrade.
Thank you. Would you say that this upgrade uh, may include changing of the milieu? Milieu is a French word for the social interactions or the people that one interacts with.
Yes,
Yes.
this is one form of the upgrade that you have experienced.
So I can expect new connections with people, but perhaps people that I've been connected to before, maybe less contact with them as I shift.
Yes,
Yes.
as you shift to be a new person, you will attract new people that represent that particular expression of who you are as a person.
Right. I was listening to one of those YouTube videos, and an interesting point came up that, because you just said as you change your energy, you'll attract other people in your life, and that whoever that was speaking was saying, that you constantly manifest. It's not that you don't manifest. Like to say, like some people say, I'll teach you how to manifest. No, you always manifest. And question is if you're conscious about it
Yes,
or not.
yes.
Could you
What you put
explain
out is what you get
that?
back. It's
Yeah.
simple. Humans on your planet make things way more complicated than they need to be. Your civilizations are representative of that. Many of you on your planet have been saying for quite some time that you would like a change. You would like to grow, you would like to move, you would like to experience new things. You have to be willing and have some courage to be able to step outside of the frame of reference that you know to be true.
Right. Yes. That's a good way to put it.
You are being given opportunities that you've been asking for. They are here. It's your choice whether you want to take them on or not.
Right.
It's simple.
Prior to coming here, did we all know that we are going to experience a period of massive change?
Yes, you may not remember it because that is the time, space, and the gate that you all have gone through, and the idea of amnesia that humans experience when they incarnate on your planet. In reality, you chose to come here from many different levels to decide whether or not, and you knew by coming here at this time in this place that you would evolve much faster than you would if you were on a nice, happy world that is a complete and utter garden that's paradise.
Right.
The idea of friction itself is that which is allows you to evolve your consciousness, your state of being, in a much more rapid way than you could if you were in a peaceful place.
Yeah, that's true. I also heard the idea that relationships, any kind of relationships, but perhaps a dedicated relationship with another human being as a life partner, whether it's a long term or shorter term, even will give you
Yeah.
the most amount of change or boost in your learning.
Yes. But this can come in many different forms. It could be your pets, even.
Right.
It could be in the form of what you have with the channel, where you facilitate the connection for us and ask us the questions so we can deliver the information. It doesn't have to be limited to your friends and family, people that you see in your everyday life. The relationships and those things that you need to work on for relationships can only truly ever be addressed while you're in a relationship with yourself and others. This is why we gave the title of Redefining the Relationship to Yourself.
Right. I see. Thank you. And so the learnings in life do not necessarily have to be from someone who I spend a lot of time with. They could be from any what seemed like random interaction.
Yes. They could even be your worst enemy.
Right.
Many times when you are in spirit, those particular souls that you are actually the closest to, that are your worst enemy in life, when you are choosing the particular incarnation that you are coming into, you are being given an opportunity when you are on that particular stage of things to say, my best friend, I am going to act like a jackass to you. I am going to be completely and utterly mean to you. I am going to do terrible things to you. But it will help both of us evolve by us playing this role for each other.
Right.
Because many times your worst enemy is really your best friend on a higher level.
Thank you. I have a couple questions in the chat here, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. Diamond Mind. Hello, both of you. What does it mean when you keep seeing nines, the number 9?
It is a synchronistic marker to let you know that you are at the end of a cycle. It is also a marker that you gave to yourself to let you know you are on the right path.
And that is true. The 9 is true to Diamond Mind, or is it true to everyone? The 9 represents
It's true to Diamond Mind.
It's true.
Each person has their particular numbers that show up consistently to let you know you are on the path. For the channel, it is the number 7 and 11. These are the numbers that show up repeatedly throughout his life and show him he has and is on the right path. He may ignore them, but they will get louder and in his face to let him know that he is going the right direction.
Right. Thank you. Same thing when I look at my phone, I grab my phone to look at something and it's 2:22.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Everything is a synchronistic marker, whether you realize it or not. It's just whether you choose to look at it that way or not.
Thank you. Val Madness. Ethium, I meditated 3 hours in blackness during the eclipse. What can you tell me about my energies and personal shifts?
You took the time and you used the eclipse itself for what it was meant for by allowing yourself to be in a state where you were internal during the particular eclipse. You gave yourself an opportunity to be fully and completely engaged with that aspect of yourself that was in the dark. Because there are many things in the dark that you, as a people and as a planet, have been told to never look at. Because you took the time to actually pull those things in and really, really look at them, You no longer are weighed down by them.
Thank you very much. Kuru. Maybe I'm always shifting, but my new housing situation keep not changing. What parameters, beliefs is stopping my manifestation, please?
What is your housing situation? Would be my question. Please return to that question at a later time when he gives you elaboration. Understand that when we receive these personal questions at this time, you must give great detail in order for me to actually give you a proper answer. Because each of the questions themselves, because they are coming through a secondhand source, do not have the full vibration that you would have you actually spoken them aloud.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, there are no further question in the chat, but I have a question for you, Ethan.
Yes.
Last night there was an event where supposedly some few hundred rockets, missiles, all kinds of flying things were flying from Iran or some other countries, or Iran and other countries towards the country of Israel.
Yes.
And it seemed that these are slow flying objects, and no damage was caused. What was this event all about?
It was a crescendo.
A crescendo.
It was the peak point of a particular event that has been going on for a few months of your time.
Yes.
But understand that the particular energy that these groups of people put towards removing or trying to attack this other civilization that does exist in a very similar area. When we say to you that there have been energies and stories that have played out in your world for thousands and thousands of years, this area in particular has been embroiled in conflicts for thousands of years, correct?
Correct.
Therefore, this particular energy has and is at a crescendo. You are seeing the end of a story. The peak.
Thank you. Do you think from this event people can start really thinking of the ludicrousness of the situation where they shoot all kinds of flying objects at each other and just calm down and make friends?
Because you are shifting to higher frequencies, these sort of events will become less and less common and eventually not at all.
In our lifetime?
Close.
Close.
You will see a drastic reduction in this kind of events. You have, for some time, in that particular section of the world, been seeing a lot of conflict, correct?
Yes.
Well, the idea is this. The fact that your nations, your countries on your planet, are deciding whether or not they would like to start a war. The idea of war on your world is outdated in nature because you are so well connected as a people through your internet collective.
Yes.
You are being given an opportunity to decide en masse, and we do say en masse, whether or not you would like to continue. Would you like to continue the hatred? Would you like to continue the negativity? Would you like to continue the suffering that goes along with these events? It's your choice. You went through an eclipse. The path of the eclipse itself was a loading bar for your planet to a higher frequency. These things, as we have said many times, these things need to come to the surface so they can be dealt with.
Thank you. Since you said this is the peak, can we expect more of these type events, or was that it?
That was the one major event, but you will see a reduction over the next few months of this type of activity.
Thanks. In one of the channels that I was looking a little bit at some images, the two things that caught my eye. The first was that supposedly these flying telephone poles came in, but at some point they just poofed like firework, and it didn't really seem that there was any projectile launched against them. They just seemed to just poof by themselves. Am I correct, or was it actually a projectile meeting them and blowing up exactly at that meeting point?
No, they were ships that shifted into your reality and then out. Remember, our technology is thousands of years ahead of yours.
Right. So are you telling me there were extraterrestrial ships involved in this event?
Some.
Some. And
We do not require that many ships to handle your technology.
right. And those ships poofed away those incoming missiles?
Yes,
Whatever they did, okay.
it was. Remember, we can see probabilities. We can see potential outcomes for your world
Yeah.
because you are going through a time period of acceleration, a time period of growth. Remember, when things are being born, it is rarely ever painless.
Right. Right. There was an object on one of those videos that seemed like a triangular shaped object similar to the TR3B, if you're familiar with it,
Yes,
which is for our audience. I'll say I believe what it is. It's a triangular shape human craft mimicking an extraterrestrial craft.
yes.
Do you know if any of these human-made craft were involved in shooting down or stopping these incoming rockets?
No, but these types of ships are able to actually fly in and out of an area quite easily without your people being completely aware of them. So this is a
Right.
way of monitoring the event that was occurring.
I see.
There were more people and more ships watching than you actually could perceive.
And when you say that, you mean the extraterrestrial or the human ships?
Both.
Both.
Most of those things, because they were occurring at nighttime
Yeah.
in that time space, you could not completely see everything that was actually in the area.
Right. I mean, it seemed to me that there was something else going on at the time because,
Yeah.
the way I would think about these projectiles, if they actually showed up, the ones which use a propeller will take hours and hours to arrive. And even
Yes.
the one that I used some sort of a burning device would still take quite a long to arrive. I mean, what's the point of sending this old technology? It's kind of sent like a horse cart, competing with much more advanced technology.
That is much like we view you.
Yeah.
Most of your most advanced technology to us is more like horse and cart.
Did the countries that send those projectiles from here to there or supposedly block them, did they know there will be an extraterrestrial involvement in shooting these things down?
Smaller groups.
Okay. Was it all planned ahead that the extraterrestrial will shoot these down?
Because we can sense your telepathic communications, your communications on your world, because we are monitoring everything. There is nothing on your world that we cannot reach or speak to.
Yeah.
We know when these things are potentially going to happen.
But you coordinated that with some humans?
Some.
Some.
Not as many people know or are able to interact with us as you think. There's not as much of a conspiracy at this time as they would have you believe.
Right.
We are here to help you.
Thank you.
That is why we are coming through the channel at this time to help redefine your interactions and your connection to these events.
Thank you. My last question about this topic, after I return to the chat here, Was this small group of humans that knew the extraterrestrial would be involved planned this whole thing last night? So the projectiles will come in and they'll seem like they've been defended by some human technology, but really all the time knew that the extraterrestrials would take them out.
Most of them were actually intercepted by your people, by your planet.
Right.
The idea of fanaticism, the idea of psychosis is the same thing. When people are in the particular state where they are choosing to attack or cause terror is similar to that, which is psychosis, where they are put in a state where they believe something to be true, but in actuality, the consistent reality is out of phase with what they believe.
Thank you.
We took care of the most dangerous ones that could potentially damage more property or people that you would have not caught. Not as many of those particular projectiles were actually caught by us. Majority of them were actually caught by your people.
Would you say over 95%?
Yes. It was a very small percentage that even required our assistance.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions in the chat here, please.
Yes.
Maria is asking, how can we address or resolve lineage karma?
By addressing it inside of yourself, by being willing to really fully look at yourself and those things that you choose not to or decide that are too scary to look at inside of yourself that are there. Decide and be willing to change the energy going forward inside of your family, inside of your lineage. When you heal that particular drama, that particular karma inside your family, it affects your entire family line, past and future.
Thank you.
Be willing to make a choice. All these things have arisen for 1,000 years on your planet. These are all choices that you are being given an opportunity to decide whether or not you want to continue. It's your choice. We would never deny you that.
Thank you. A question from Kuru here. Why ghosts and shadow people appear? Is it possible to cast them out?
The ghosts and shadow people, many of those which have been caught on camera, are not necessarily ghosts. They could be spirits. They could be nature spirits. They could be other dimensional beings that are observing you and mischievous. Many of those types of beings, which is not actually as much as you actually think it actually is, don't exist as much in the way that you believe they might. Many of the spirits that you encounter are a number of things. They could be a spirit that has not quite dealt with themselves or dealt with the business that they have in an area, but they will eventually pass on and transition to non-physicality completely. Some exist inside of a house because it was their house in life, so they have attached themselves to a location and allowed themselves to be mischievous. Some of those shadow people that you say are nature spirits, and many of them are just very mischievous.
What's a nature spirit?
You understand that there are different spirits around your world that attach themselves to nature itself, that are manifestations of nature. When you go into the forest and you have the idea of you feel like you're being watched by something, you are. You called them gnomes, you called them fairies, you called them many different things in your history.
And these spirits, they have a physical body, or they just go in the tree?
They are temporary physical bodies. Usually they are in more of a conscious ball form, but they can and will, as you shift into higher frequencies, become more and more obvious in a way, as well as they become more part of your reality consistently.
I see what you mean.
Yes.
And those little balls of light, those spheres of light that people report of or sometimes capture in the camera, what are those?
Sometimes they can be bugs. Sometimes they can be dust in the air. And other times they can be us coming to watch.
Right.
They can be any number of things. Many times the actual correct answer is usually the direct and more easy to explain. But when there is such a level of that's not real or that is not possible, that's usually something more like what we send to you or you're interacting with the spirit. But generally speaking, the answer is usually much more simple than you think it is.
Thank you. Maria is asking, do we need to do past life regression to figure out what those are? Those are the lineage karma from before. Or can we do it now?
You can always do it now. Everything exists now. There's nothing outside of the present moment. All you are generally doing in those ideas, those places, those interactions where you are doing past life regression therapy to work through karma from other incarnations. Because remember, everything is simultaneously coexisting on different frequencies, different places. So therefore, when you go and do the work and work through the particular karma, the balancing of the particular energy, it does change the trajectory of your incarnation that you are currently experiencing. It gets rid of the work because you're done with the work. And that is the way you're giving yourself a chance to decide that you're done with the work. You can be decided and decide whether or not you like to be done doing the work in your everyday life. And you feel like you've worked out the theme. I've learned everything I need to learn from this particular event, this particular circumstances.
And that's good.
Yes. But being conscious and aware and deciding that you really want to take a look at these things, that you've learned everything that you need to learn from it, and be willing to let it go. Because it's not going to stick around if you really just let it go and allow new things to enter into your life.
Right. It does feel that the theme for this week, especially with the eclipse, was to let go.
Yes. This is why we keep saying redefining the relationship to yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Your reality is your choice.
Right. Thank you. Kuro is saying, it is said Satanism people feed from children and use those energies to
No,
manifest.
no, 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 no. They may interact with those particular vibration and those rituals that incur these particular ideas. But the idea that they feed on children to extract their power, they only have the power that you think they do, that you give to them. Remember, in your reality, you are the ultimate power.
Yes.
Take responsibility, take accountability, allow yourself to really fully engage in your life and stop engaging and giving your power away to those that don't deserve it.
Thank you. And that also a sort of redefining relationship to yourself, realizing your power lies within yourself.
Yes, because your reality will be a reflection of your particular energy that you are exuding and putting out into the world. For when you give your power over to conspiracies, you give yourself over to the idea of negativity being the ultimate power in the world, that they have come to destroy you, that you choose to keep reinforcing that particular reality, that is what you will experience.
Right. Right, right. Okay, thanks. Kuro saying, when animal look at us and seems to say something,
Yes.
what entity is speaking? Because the next second they come back to act like animals.
Yes. They are consciousness coming through an animal. They are specializing in being that animal. They are saying something to you, you're just not listening.
Right. And so I guess the people that call the whisperer, the horse whisperer, the dog whisperer, they pay more attention
Yes.
to the animal's vibration.
Yes, that is more of a telepathic sort of communication that those particular individuals are having.
What would you say to Kuru to increase their ability to connect with an animal?
Be willing to go and sit with an animal. Allow yourself, even if at first you don't quite hear anything, understand you are receiving information. It could be feelings, it could be visions, it could be sounds. But at first, many times, these types of interactions will not come how you think they do. They could be just a feeling, to feel happy in the presence of your animal. It's much in the way that the channel himself started out being able to connect with animals because he felt such a strong connection to animals that he practiced and practiced to the point where he could actually have full conversations with animals.
Right.
Eventually, he reached such a high level, he was able to connect to us.
Right. That's
You're not
that's
actually talking to me. This is actually just a telepathic conversation that is being verbalized by the channel.
right. You said I'm not talking to you, or I'm not
No,
talking to the channel.
no.
No.
You are talking to actually more of a construct that is a mixture between the channel himself and our personality, as well as one that he quite likes that he has seen in other channels and how they express themselves. So we have come through in kind of a clothing that a flavor that fits his version of how he likes to channel and how he likes to express himself in a much more open way than he can do normally.
Okay. Okay. I see what you mean. Thank you.
Yes.
So I basically interact with in sort of a summation of ideas that you send through the channels to me and to the audience, to us.
Yes. Because many of these conversations that we are actually having are happening on a much higher level.
Right.
That is why many times when you have been finished with these connections, these transmissions, that you feel like your head is full
Hmm.
because we are transmitting through these particular transmissions to the people who watch them information that is happening on a higher level. This is why you have seen many of the people who have participated in these types of interactions see a profound improvement in their life when they practice and bring forward the vibration and the frequency of these interactions.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And thank you very much. Today, for example, I was able to show a friend that was stressed out a more of a higher perspective that I learned from you, Ethan.
Yes,
And it worked. My friend felt a lot better and calmed down.
yes.
Yes. So
Because
thank
much
you.
of these interactions, much of the idea of anxiety, the idea of fear and depression that has been on your world, these are many, many negative ideas that have been pervasive on your world for many, many years. You
Yes.
are be given higher perspectives to actually share with your people. Understand that when we are speaking like this, or we are bringing tones through while connecting as the channel,
Mhm.
there are things on different levels that are interacting with parts of your energetic sphere that are making adjustments while we are speaking to you and others are listening to us.
Yes, thank you. And excuse me for that. And I do feel, especially during the lives that we do,
Yes.
that I am speaking or interacting or knowing on a different level, and I would probably know the answer to a question before I even asked it. It's already like as if someone already presented me the answer, said, "Here's what you're going to hear."
Yes, because you are interacting with mostly your higher mind in that case. We are
Okay.
just flavoring the connections in a particular way that is more congruent for you to be able to be accepting of receiving the information that you already know. Much of this stuff you know, it's just you're choosing to go through the channel to accept and as well as connect to your higher self.
That's right. It's a type of confirmation, or
Yes.
kind of like, yeah, okay, very good, thank you.
That is why when you interact with us, you're more or less interacting with your higher mind.
Yes, yes, thank you. And today, when I came home, I fell asleep for a little bit. I didn't realize I'd be out for so long. And exactly at 7:30, I felt that somebody woke me up and said, "Let's go."
Time to work.
Yes. What was that?
It was one of your guides.
Right.
It was interacting in the most unobtrusive way, which was to let you know to get up.
Right. Well, I realized that I was deep asleep, more tired than I realized, I guess.
Yes.
But then I woke up fully and completely with no problem and ready to go.
Yes. You were preparing for this interaction.
Right. Excellent. Thank you.
When you redefined the connection to your higher mind, to yourself, to the larger aspect of yourself, that you are merely a fragment of the whole, and allow yourself to connect to that whole being, you act in a whole way.
Right. And same thing. For example, if I wanted to eat something, I could ask my higher self, myself, do I really want to eat that? And then it'll give me an answer. It'll be easier for
Or
me.
you could just listen to the cravings that already coming to you.
The cravings could be too much sugar, though.
Yes, but sometimes sugar's good.
Yeah, tell me about it. Okay. Thank you. Maria is asking about karma. How do
Yes.
we identify which themes or what those lineage lessons are? Any suggestions, please? Thank you.
If you're looking at the particular themes, the idea of karma, karma is merely a recognition of balance in nature. It is not the almighty, you're going to die, you did this one terrible thing this lifetime. No, it is more of a recognition of balance. You may have, in another incarnation, been the most terrible person who killed a lot of people. And then, in another incarnation, you are the victim. It's your choice. It's the recognition that you have energetically to really, honestly, if you really look and sit down and really look at the particular themes you have played out and keep playing out over and over and over again, why do you keep playing them out? What are you learning from them? That is why they are still there.
And those themes will repeat until you resolve them or address them, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And even sometimes they will stick around if they're beneficial.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Don't define them in a negative way and you won't experience them that way. If you're willing to be open and honest with yourself and others about what you are going through or what you're working on and redefine these particular experiences in a positive way, you will let them go or hold on
Yes.
to them. It's your choice.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I believe you referred to this, but it showed up again on the stream, so I'll bring it up.
Yes.
Crew with the housing. Personal question. I'm trying to manifest a new house, but the opportunity is not appearing or manifesting.
Yes. The question we would ask you in your housing situations and times that you, in places you have lived, what are the reoccurring themes that you have not quite dealt with from those living situations that you have not quite decided that you want to exist in or experience? If you would like to change your living situation to a new place, it is giving you a chance to decide, hey, I would like to have this in my environment. I would like it to be peaceful. You are being given a time space delay as to how you would like to live and where you would like to live. You're being given opportunities to decide, I would like to live in this time space and I want it to be this way. This is the time space lag we speak of.
How much control do you think one have over their situations in life?
Most.
What about destiny? I guess destiny is what you agreed to do or resolve when you came here.
Destiny is the idea of your reality is mixed between free will and destiny. You pick a theme, which is your destiny. It's the hallway that you will go down. Free will is how you walk down that particular hallway.
Right. Thank you. My father years ago showed me a sentence, and this is from the Jewish prayer book.
Yes.
It's similar. It converts to something like the permission is granted and the hand is writing. Means, as far as I understand, it means the permission for you to respond to any situation is up to you, but your destiny, the hand is writing. It's already known what you're going to have to challenge or face.
Yes. This is the idea of karma.
This is the idea. Okay.
This is the idea of the challenges that you picked out for this in particular incarnation and any other incarnation that you are experiencing in other worlds.
In
Remember,
other worlds?
Earth itself is a hard school. You are not in a kindergarten. You are not in the beginners workshops or the beginners classes, as some people would say. You are in college. You are in a graduate program that you would not be in unless you could handle it.
So everyone here has had experience and is experienced enough to come to the level that is presented here in this reality.
Yeah. You wouldn't be here unless you could handle it.
Right. Would you say, how do I put it? Let's say you live in the 1940s and it's World War II and you're in Europe and the situation is terrible from all over.
Yes.
Can we compare our situation these days, which we're physically more protected, but I think in the mind, there's a lot of stress in the mind, mostly for this period, than a period previous, which it was perhaps more physical threat.
Most of what you experience in your world today is less physical.
Yeah.
It is more of the mind because that is the place where it is the easiest to imprison people and guide people.
But it doesn't mean necessarily that
it's a reality.
It's a reality. It's not, this is less difficult than the other reality. They're both difficult realities in a way.
Yes. Many of you go watch movies, correct?
Yeah.
You watch the idea of an action film or a destructive film, correct?
Right. Yeah.
You get that reality does exist on another level, right?
Yes.
A reality where the world has destroyed itself.
Yes.
It's your choice. Do you want to continue to experience that? You're being given an opportunity by watching the movie that you can experience it in a safe way.
I see what you mean. Thank you.
The idea that your world is falling apart is more of the idea of repetition that you have heard on your planet for many years now, because it is much easier to control the masses through your media.
Yeah.
Because it is so instantaneous.
Yes.
But because you are starting to act in a much more collective manner, you are starting to see through these particular frequencies and vibrations and the lies.
Yes.
The idea that your world is going to fall apart tomorrow is a fallacy. It's not true.
Right. Are you referring to what happened in Brazil this week, where it seemed that the ex-Twitter network was exposing some corruption in Brazil?
Yes. As we have said in the past, in previous transmissions, that particular people are in control of situations so they can allow themselves to act as surrogates for the people that have been trying to control things, or being given opportunities to decide if you guys still would like to let them control things.
Right. Okay, very good.
Most of the control that you experience on your world come more out of a state of fear, a state of greed, a state of not having enough, so they need to control more and more and more people and resources.
Right.
But, and we would say a big but on this, because of the frequency and the vibration and the direction of your civilization. Many of these types of people will eventually go away, but you
Yeah.
have to go through the process.
Yeah.
Do not avoid the work.
Thank you. Question from Daniel here. Daniel Legger. Last weekend, my wife heard kids laughing in a forest in a remote location while no other people other than me and my wife in the area. We have
Yes,
been attracted to go walk in that forest frequently in the last couple of years.
yes,
Were those nature spirits or some other entities?
hybrid children.
Hybrid children.
Yes, they run through your forests because they are much more closely related to the idea of the forest, of nature.
Why couldn't Daniel and his wife see them?
Well, the fact that you could even hear them because they were playing in the woods, the fact that you were even able to hear them should let you know that you are becoming more of a vibrational match to be able to actually interact with them. It is an indicator mark for you.
I see what you mean. Thank you. Kuro is asking, what is the percentage in the destiny of the vision of lower self and the higher in the manifestation?
Percentage in what way, we would ask. Please move on to another question when he has defined the question in a much more clear, stated way.
Okay. I see. Okay. Val is asking, what extraterrestrial races were involved with Puma Punko?
Syrian, Lyran, Anunnaki, Atlantean.
Thank you. Ethan, what is Puma Punko? I'm unfamiliar with that term or
It is
place.
a city. Many of the cities that existed in your ancient world past the idea of the fall of Atlantis actually had many extraterrestrials roaming around in them.
And they all interacted, the human and the humans and the extraterrestrial interacted in those cities
Yes, it was much
openly?
more open because they were in a state where they were able to actually perceive, as well as they were actually able to rectify and be able to connect to these beings without having it overload them because they were coming from a much higher frequency in nature because they believed it was real and
Right.
knew how to interact.
Right. So the humans of the time were able to access and interact with the extraterrestrials because they were closer to the extraterrestrials' vibration, so to speak.
Yes, and understand that the Atlantean civilization themselves, a good majority of them, not all, but a majority of the people who existed inside of the Atlantean civilization, they were all extremely hybridized in a way that you humans are not currently. They were much closer to the idea of the original genetics because they were more of a direct offshoot and more direct offspring, whereas most humans are very mixed these days. They had more straight, pure genetic material from extraterrestrials because they were the offspring of those extraterrestrials.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So they were able to interact with their parents.
Right. Would you say that those Atlanteans they had more of a pure hybrid or extraterrestrial DNA? Did they look like us or they look different?
They looked very close to the idea of Egyptians.
Okay.
But understand there are and have been colonies around your world from different extraterrestrial races that have bred into your populations.
Right. When you say closer to Egyptian, darker skin, more African looking, or they had the elongated heads?
Elongated heads, as well as the shape of the eyes and the shape of the face.
I see.
Because the Atlanteans, when that civilization fell, they went to areas such as Turkey, to Egypt, and bred into the local populations that were already there in those areas.
Okay.
That is why you have the story of Noah.
Right. Right. How much of that DNA is in us now?
It is thoroughly mixed through your entire population.
Okay.
It is a mix between each person. More people these days, because you're moving into a higher frequency, are expressing the idea of more of the Atlantean DNA. That is why you are starting to see more people being very tall. That is why you are seeing more people expressing the idea of having telepathy, having
Yeah.
other what you would determine to be extra sensory abilities. These are just natural because of the way they are incarnating and the amount of DNA that you would refer to as junk DNA, which is not actually junk. That particular ancient DNA is being reactivated, so therefore it is expressing different traits that have not been active in your species for thousands of years.
Are you referring to the 24th chromosome,
Yes,
James?
yes.
Could you tell me more about this, please? I've no not much knowledge of biochemistry at all.
The idea of the Anunnaki themselves and other species that did have the idea of genetic engineering in their species and able to create things, they're able to condense the idea of different genetics and put it into a small chromosome because they have a more full grasp of how to genetically engineer things and create things. They are able to take a small amount of genetics and interject their DNA into your chromosomes.
Thank you.
It's not junk.
No,
Nothing's junk. Nothing's wasted.
of course. Okay. Uh, Lola Bola is asking, is Lake Titicaca an Earth chakra point?
You have many different vortexes around your world. The more major the city is, the more likely, and it is actually a major chakra point. That is why they settled there.
Thank you. Along the same lines, the channel and I have discussed this phenomena of a large ring around the sun in the daytime.
Yes.
I believe it has to do with pollution or whatever is sprayed in the air, but the channel said it could be a vortex. What
No,
do you think?
you're seeing the edge of a vortex. You are seeing the edge of an energetic bubble around a particular area. Do you understand the idea how a rainbow works?
Yes.
Well, you are in those cases during the day when you are seeing a ring around the sun, you are having the light pass through an area where a vortex is, an energetic center.
Is there anything we can do or interact with this thing?
You live in these particular places, correct?
Yes.
Well, what do you do in your everyday life? You are interacting with the energy of that particular energetic center by living in those places,
I see.
being consciously aware of the particular energy that is moving through the place and deciding how you would like to interact with it is probably and is the best way for you to actually interact with it. You're never not interacting with these things.
Right. It's just a question whether I'm aware of it or not.
Yes. The
Yes.
more you are consciously aware of these things, it doesn't matter what part of your life it is, the more you are able to interact with and decide how and what you would like to deal with.
Thank you. Okay. Val is asking, what were the differences between Lemuria and Mu?
Lemuria was more closely related to the idea of the original hybrids that came to your world and interacted because they were at a much higher level of extraterrestrial DNA being expressed through the people. And it was more closely related to the idea of nature. That is why you do not see very many of these types of ruins that were left behind by the civilization that were many thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. The idea of Atlantis itself is more closely related to the idea of the Ryan energy, whereas the Lemurian was more closely related to the idea of the Sirius energy. The technology and how it expresses itself in a much more natural way in Mu, whereas external technology, because they had moved away from the idea of spirit and more into the idea of the Orion energy itself.
Right. So would the Orion represents more of male and mechanical, and Sirius more of female and maybe from the heart?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
Divine masculine and divine feminine.
Right, right. Thank
The
you.
idea of the overgrowth of one energy or the other expresses itself in a negative way. When you have a balanced nature in your masculine and feminine energy, because you do contain both types of energy,
Mhm.
through men, it expresses more naturally the masculine energy and is complementary when it is not trying to dominate, but work in harmony and understand the particular role that you choose to incarnate as. Many of the women on your world have been told they are weak, and the only thing they define as strong, instead of the strength that comes with being in the feminine, divine feminine energy, they are trying to express themselves in a way that they view as empowered, but they are also denying the divine feminine in themselves.
Right, 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 right.
So
See.
therefore, they are moving away from the idea of their true power.
Right. True power would not diss other people or say negative things about other people or groups of people. True power will seek to unite all. Yes?
Yes, when you come from an empowered state, you could never disempower another person.
Right. Thank you. Okay.
We
I'll
will
do a
take
couple.
a few more questions at this time.
My thoughts exactly. Thank you. Uh, okay, this one, it's serious, but it's kind of funny. Kuro, and you may or may not know this, but I find it interesting. Kuro is asking, is the actor Henry Cavill from Superman movie and ET?
No, he's human.
No, he's
But
human.
he's giving you a chance to decide beings because there are many beings out there that look similar to humans. Though that particular role, that particular archetype of the superhuman, because you will be interacting with beings in the future that look very similar to you, but have abilities that you cannot imagine.
They're here with us?
Yes, and they will also be more openly in the future.
Right. How do I recognize one of them?
They will make themselves obvious when the time comes. If you cannot recognize or of the correct vibration to be able to recognize these people, you'll never see them.
Thank you.
It all
There's
comes down to resonance. Remember, anytime you can truly examine things from a higher perspective, this is usually the easier way to determine and be more observant of those beings that you're interacting with on many levels that are not quite visible or obvious that they are not quite human.
right. And there was a related question here from Kuro.
Yes.
What are really the people we see shape shifting on camera?
Many of those are extraterrestrial beings that have cloaked themselves to be human.
Okay. I have a last question here for today from Lola Bola.
Yes.
What is the oldest ruin from a civilization that still exists on Earth?
You have the idea of giant megalithic structures around your world where they could have never possibly moved these giant stones.
Yes.
These are ancient civilizations that were rehomed like a hermit crab, where other civilizations crawled into them, and they were attributed to have built these objects or these structures.
Right.
There is a level of precision that these particular very primitive cultures could have never actually created. So therefore, these are the remnants of these particular civilizations that have existed around your world. You understand that there is the idea of pyramids all around your world that all seem to be built right about the same time.
Yes.
Well, there you go. Those are remnants of very ancient civilizations in your understanding.
Same are these walls in Cusco where the stones seem to be like matching into each other perfectly.
Yes. But that was more of the idea of a technology that was able to melt the stones and make them soft, and they could force them together.
Okay. And I think I asked you that before, but the Giza pyramid was created by thought, so to speak.
It was dreamed in a higher level by the being you refer to as Tote, and then it was made manifest into your world. It was a marker in a way that could not be destroyed because it was so large and so complex that they were not able to destroy it or bury it or steal it.
And the Sphinx next to it,
It is much older than the pyramids.
much older.
Yes,
And who built that?
Atlanteans.
And the
They
Sphinx had
knew they knew that that particular area would be safe post the flood because they could see into the future and see what areas would be potentially safe that they continue their civilization and their technology in those places. So they came prior to the flood and prior to the destruction and started building.
I see. Thank you very much, Ethan, for today.
Yes.
Would you like to say anything in closing with regards to our subject, with defining your relationship to yourself?
At this time, we would ask in the intervening time between now and our next transmission that you take an honest look at yourself and those things that can be difficult at times, and have an honest look at yourself and them and decide if they are still right for you to experience. And use your discernment to decide whether or not you would like to live the way you have been living. Good day.
Good day. Thank you.
No, that was fun. Thank you guys for showing up. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you, Jozef, for doing this again with us today. It was good talking, good having you all in here, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.